In this video, we're going to be working with several elements to create this fuzzy effect in the S. So I'm going to be reviewing how to make a pattern, working with the pencil tool quickly, but mostly focusing on the blend tool and some effects that you can do to get this textured, feathered fur effect. So this is my final result of what I've done by working with these elements over here. So we'll start that process. So on a clean canvas or artboard, first I'm going to pull ellipse, and I'm going to make sure it's a solid color, no stroke. And I've been sticking with blues, but you can stick with whatever colors that you'd like. And I'll make that big for you. Now I've been trying to do a unique circular snowflake sort of look over here. And if we zoom in, you can see that happening. And this is a very big file, so that's why it's loading a little awkward like this. But you can see the unique pattern shape here. So we'll be working with the star tool as well. So I have my circle here. I come down to my star tool. Usually it's 5 points to start off with. I might have more. So you can do up or down arrow keys to get as many points as you like. But I haven't let go of my finger yet from my mouse or my trackpad. Now that I have this, and I'm going to switch this to a stroke. I'm going to make sure the stroke in the options panel is maybe at a 4, and just shrink this down a little bit. I want to make sure both of these are centered with each other, so I'm going to click and drag, select them both, come up to a line, and then center them. Horizontal align center, and that looks good. I'm going to select them again. I'm going to come over to my rotate, make sure that's highlighted or R on the keyboard, and as I hover over the middle here, a little word center is going to pop up. I'm going to keep that there and hold down Option or Alt on my keyboard and click. And that's how I get these special options that will work for this rotation purpose. Now, when working with the circle, which is best of the rotation tool, you have to break it up in a 360-degree manner. So 18 or 24, 36, some of your best bets. And then instead of OK, you're going to push copy. Now once you're at this point, all you have to do now is duplicate it. So the hotkey for that is Command D. So you're going to select the circles, because there's actually several circles underneath because we duplicated it along with the stars. And we're going to come over to your Pathfinder tool, which looks like this, or you can come up to Window, Pathfinder, and you're going to click Merge. And there we go. Now we have one shape there. And with the rest of them, we can group them. And what I would do is I would expand the stroke. And what this does is that if it gets bigger, it will still stay the same size instead of getting a thinner stroke. Or if I made this smaller, the stroke wouldn't get thicker. So I'm going to choose that stroke. I'm going to come up to Object, Expand, Stroke. And there we go. So now I'm going to move on to making my pattern. So I have one shape here. And I'm going to keep the same shape, I'm just going to change out the colors. So this one I'll try a white back, and then maybe a dark blue. And maybe a darker blue. There we go. And I think I'll shrink this down a little bit. Now what you can do to help with this, because you can't really see the white, is that we can add our dark background color in already. So I'm going to come up to my layers. I'm just going to come over to my rectangle tool, M for the hotkey, click and drag down, and pick my color, which I actually want a much darker color than that. I'm going to just pick this color, which I will put in the panel. And I'm going to come back to my layers and lock it. So to make a pattern, I'm just going to click and select all my little things here. And then I'm going to go to Pattern, Make. This is just saying that this will go into the swatches panel. And this is what my pattern will look like for right now. I can rename this Snow Pattern or whatever you want, and then I can change the way this looks. And I can also make it much smaller. So I'm going to click and drag inside this blue box, which is the edible and your original pieces, and make this really small, maybe this size. Now I know it's further away now. All I have to do for that is come to the width and the height and use my arrow keys to bring it together more. And then also, again, I can change how I want it to look. So I actually really like the look of that. If you want to see more how it will end up looking, you can go to dim copies to 100%. So you get a little bit more feel. And then I'm going to push done, and it's going to save it. So I still have my original copies here, and I'm just going to save those off to the side. Now to activate a pattern, first we have to make a shape for the pattern to go in. Just like how we wanted a background color, well, we need a place for the pattern to sit, and that's going to be in this block. And there we go. So it's a bit more bright than my other one, but that's okay. I mean, this is just to play around with. And, you know, if I ever wanted to edit it out, all I have to do is come over here. And what I might do is switch this to the darker color to not be so dominant. And then just push done. So there we go, a little less dominant looking. So what I'm going to do now is come over to my layers, lock that one, and then begin the second part of this, which is creating the gradient tools. So I'm going to be working with the gradient tool over here. And I know I want this smooth blend, so I'm going to break this up into 3 categories. So it's going to be a darker, a mid, and a light. I'm going to come back over to my ellipse. And I will fill it in with a pattern because that's the last thing we use. I'm going to come over here and click on that. So how I made this gradient is that first I had to drag the gradient off the toolbar because Illustrator does not like 2 things open at once. So I clicked and dragged it off. And I made sure to open my strokes along with that so I can work with the different colors. It works best with 3 colors, so I want light colors first. So I drag down white by just simply clicking and dragging down. If you don't want a color or remove it, just simply drag it off. And you can readjust down here with the main location or just here with the gradient flow. This will all be different outcomes for how those look. So I have this one down, and I'm just going to copy it two times. So Option Command click and drag, Option Command click and drag, and let's make another one, but this one will change the colors to more of that mid-tone. So I'm going to drag down this blue and then this blue. And you only need two colors in the gradient, but I want this one again, so I'm just going to click and drag and copy that right over. Bring these both to the edges. Again, if you get an extra, just click that off. Copy, Option Command, click and drag, Option Command, click and drag. You see those double arrows. One more, and then we'll get the darker ones. So we'll have this guy for the middle and drag him out more. There we go. So we only need one new color there, which is fine. Two more times. Now, just for my sanity, I'm going to click and drag, align those, mid, and then distribute. And there we go. Now, the next step we're going to do, in case you want to alter these, I'm going to keep those to the side. The next step what we want to do is we're going to blend them. So I want to come up to Object, Blend, Blending Options. And usually this is on smooth color. I want to make sure it's on specified steps, and I want 250. Now that's not changing anything yet because we still have to make it happen. So Object, Blend, Make. And there we go. A nice transition there. So the next thing we have to do is make our letter. I'm going to do S for sweater. And I'm going to use the pencil tool, which is usually located under the smooth tool or the shaper tool, or N on your keyboard. And all I'm going to do is make sure I have black on, and I'm going to switch this to stroke. And 1 point's fine, and it's really just like drawing naturally with your hand, so clicking and dragging. The big thing is with this is making sure that they're open ends. So I have an open end here and an open end here. Now it's a little bit wonky of an S. I'm not really liking all the bumps. So I'm going to actually come over again to my pencil tool, but then move down to my smooth. And just click and drag over those lines. Those are going to get rid of some of those anchor points. And much, much better. So again, I'm going to keep my S safe. I always do this. Keep one extra copy. Make this a bit smaller so it fits in the frame more. So even smaller. That looks good because the thickness of here will make it bigger. So you have to leave room for that. The final result will make this bigger. So by clicking this, and come up to Object, Blend, Replace Spine. And there we go. And so this is a really fun technique with lettering if you want like a smooth 3D look. If you don't like the way it looks necessarily like this, we can always try to Object, Replace Front and Back. So that might be a nicer blend for you. So the final step is to make sure this is selected. Come up to Effect, Distort, Transform, Roughen. Always preview. And this is where, see, it almost looks like a Cheeto now with this effect. But this is where you can add detail for the hair. And then you can smooth it if you like. And then push OK. And then if you want to finish it off, just come to your type tool. And type out sweater, weather. And if you want a different typeface, then if you want a different color, you can come over here to your swatches again and click that. And there you go.